UK101.com, so I had to change that to fuzzy UK101 at ntlworld.com for the email, and those sort of things are hung over, and I forgot what I use them for now. But I've got 2 or 3 that I mainly use, and they've all got blocked up. I can't use them at all now because I've just installed a new system on my Mac, and something's come wrong with the email client. Got to sort it out, but yep, I end up with hundreds of flipping emails, and can't get around to replying to them all. But there you go, we won the war, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember Walter's call sign now, but you know who he is. He's a real character. Whenever I hear him, I always say, now listen very carefully. I shall say this only once. Oh dear. And good morning. Give him a go, say good morning. Oh dear. Yeah. So he's a really nice guy. Yeah. Yeah, okay, on the Andorra SDR there. Yes, well, you know, the trouble is once you got an email, they're all interesting things. There's lots of interesting people, but it's just so you get involved, and it's so time-consuming. And sometimes, you know, somebody will email me asking a simple question, which has got a complicated answer. A typical thing, you know, I might spend 2 hours replying to this guy and answering the specific, generally on electromagnetics, you know. And I'll send it off to him, and he's obviously waiting. He emailed me back instantly, you know, like 2 minutes later, his email with another question. I thought, well, you can't possibly have read and understood that email that I just sent you. I'm just wasting my time here, you know. And I mean, that's what used to be my job. That was my job. I used to get paid, you know, a large salary. British Aerospace is answering other engineers' questions like that. So I'm damned if I'm going to do it for nothing, you know, when I'm retired, you know. People seem to regard me as a unpaid amateur radio antenna design consultant, you know. So I'm an internet shortwave listener now. I don't transmit G3TFX, G3TPW.
From G3TFX. Well, the simple answer to people who sort of drag it out in emails and sort of occupy 2 hours of your time is to tell them to go on Skype from G3TFX. Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, you got the telephone calls as well. And unfortunately, once you do it, you respond and you help them on something, they're coming back at you all more and more and more. You know, you think, oh, I'll just tell them that, then I'll just put them on the right track. You know, they just keep coming back at you. And then they tell all the mates, and all the mates keep coming on you. You know, it just annoys me. You know. I've got things I want to do myself. I mean, I've got my linear amplifier here, which needs fixing. I've got, you know, I want to sort my computer out and I'll put my website on, but we won't have any contact addresses for it. Got a lot of information on my website, but I need to take all the salesy stuff off for the cobweb antennas, etc., you know, and alter it a bit and things like that. But that's on the old computer. I'm going to put it onto the other new computer. So there's loads of things that I want to do which I don't get around to doing, you know. So why should I be wasting my time doing what these other people want me to do, Grant? Yeah, it's a problem, isn't it? I think the thing is, you know, there's various ways of communicating. In the old days, it used to be by letter. And people were very polite, dear so-and-so, blah, 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 and you get to 1 or 2 pages and you sort of think, wow, I've got a letter, somebody really loves me, and every so often you send a letter back. But of course nowadays it's all changed. You've got a choice between email, Skype, message boards, this, that and the other, and even amateur radio. And some of these amateur radio types soak up your time as well, don't they, Steve?
Yeah, well, my hobby is amateur radio, transmitting on the radio. So if somebody wants to ask me a question on the radio, well, I'm very, very happy to discuss it and chat on the radio. But I don't, like I was on this morning on the South Manchester net and talking about harp and stuff and enjoy all that. But yeah, basically I don't want to be tied down and committed to things, If I get fed up with somebody on the radio, I can just switch it off, I just get annoyed with people making demands on your time, some of these people have got nothing else better to do, I don't think. They just bloody well read a book, or even, as you say, look on the web and sort things out. And they want you to do it all for them. You tell them how to do something, and they say, can you do the sums? Can you do the calculations for me? No, flipping well, do them yourself, I'm not your flipping slave, it just annoys me. I'm not very good at maths. Well, flipping well, learn it then. I had to do, just because you were a lazy so-and-so at school and you couldn't be bothered learning the maths, just learn it now. I had to do it, and just because I can do it, they seem to think that you're obliged to do it, But they don't come here and paint my woodwork. I mean, they're quite capable of painting my woodwork, but they don't come here and do it, do they? G3TFX, G3TPW.
From Golf 3 Tango Foxtrot X-Ray. Yeah, the thing is, we're all at different levels of learning, aren't we? All at different stages there. And when I was at Philips, towards the end of my time, I suddenly thought, I've existed in this company for 27 years. I must have done something right, but I wasn't up on the higher levels of design. If somebody sort of said, right, well, here's the complicated method to do this, that, and the other, I'd say, well, I wouldn't do it that way. I'd just change that 1.8 puff capacitor for 2.2 puff and see whether it works. And there was a vast difference between the way I sort of approach things on a practical level to the way all these academics did. Because I didn't get a degree, but my practical experience got me through and got me up to a senior design level engineer in status, and it was just amazing that I found a lot of these academic people couldn't sort of really use the soldering iron or get used to things, and I could bridge the gap by being the bench boy, as it were, from G3TFX.
Yeah, okay, Richard, fine, from G3TPW, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm talking about, maths that you did up to 15, up to normal school leaving age, like transposition of formula and, just doing the simple stuff, just working out what the, the simplest way, you put a dipole up, you make it a certain length, measure what its resonant frequency is, then you can work out what the correction factor would have to be for any frequency you want, and then just so you only have to cut it once. You put one up, and then you work out what the length will actually be with that particular wire at that particular height, and then just do it. It's simple enough, isn't it? But simple schoolboy maths, up to I left school at 15. It's all stuff up to that level, But yes, I know what you mean with the maths. I mean, it's quite. I find it very, very poor. Like Maxwell's equations, Oh, yes, he's the inventor of electromagnetics, curls and divs and grads and all this complicated maths. It's a load of bunkum, isn't it? A load of absolute tosh, And old Faraday there, he was just a dimmy. He was just a lab assistant. He stumbled on it. He didn't figure it out, He stumbled on it. Maxwell did all the dead hard maths, you see. He's the academia fella. He didn't even know what it was. Maxwell had no idea he didn't explain anything about what radio signals were. It was just detached mathematics to him, All right, he's noticed it seemed to be similar to the light electromagnetic, the light sums, But But maths is just a tool, it's just an expression, isn't it? It's a way of explaining something. It's not the best. I always used to say, I used to go up to when I was giving a lecture on this, I used to go up to the blackboard, on the whiteboard as it was, be a big squiggly line, draw a big squiggly line on the board and say, express that mathematically. It's not suitable, is it? Maths is not a suitable thing to explain something like that. But the academia, of course, they didn't like all these people who made all these discoveries and inventions without using all this mathematics, because and they invented things that they didn't discover. So the academia always had a down on people who actually did anything, discover things, had an idea of how things were working, and postulated theories. They don't know what they're talking about because they haven't done the maths. So I'm a great anti-establishment thing. And it's exactly the same today. Exactly the same today. I never went to university because I left school at 15, but my daughter, she's got a BSc, she's got 2 MScs, one taught, one research, she's got a PhD, all research into genetics, and she committed the ultimate sin of criticizing Darwin, and she got all this thing that she postulated that and proved actually afterwards that genes could have certain sequences of them switched on and off. So the same gene can have sequences switched on and off by the environment. So the adaptive thing of the human did not have to wait for generations before it adapted. Did not have to be survival of the fittest, and all that sort of stuff. And she was poo-pooed, she was heckled, all sorts of things. Now, those very same people, she's so disgusted with science, she says, she's just left it all. She says, scientists are the most unscientific people she's ever come across. They're just trying to prove that they were right with what they think. They're not they're not trying to find the truth, But now the most annoying thing is those very same people are all saying that what she said is right, and they were the first people who discovered it, Richard. G3TFX, G3TPW.
From G3TFX. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Science has got a set standard way of dealing with things, and if you don't comply with that, then you're sort of ostracized and so on and so forth. Getting back to basic mathematics, I knew a woman about 45 years ago or so, and it was on the days when calculators were beginning to reach the market, and she couldn't understand why people started to use calculators, because she should add up 1 and 3 and 1 and 7 pence and 2 and 3 and whatnot, and do it all on a piece of paper and arrive at the thing, and then pay your money over the counter, and the cashier would say that, and that's about it. And she scorned people who started to use calculators, because I don't even bother to use a calculator now. I just punch in 100 divided by 2 on Google and get the answer as 50 straight away from G3TFX.
Yeah, well, make sure you don't, sometimes I do that to make sure I don't get the decimal point in the wrong place, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was remembering my mother, counting in the base 12. She wouldn't know what you were talking about, counting in groups and all that. I always remember my youngest daughter, by the way, and when she was at primary school, we moved here, and the primary school in Macclesfield, they taught them about groups, counting in groups. But when they came here, it was all counting doing everything by rote, And Jenny could, she could calculate in the base 12 or the base 8, or whatever you like, because she was used to this concept of groups. Whereas the primary school teacher here used to mock her because she didn't know it by rote for the base 10. And then, of course,
basically, the teacher did not understand groups. She did not understand this counting in another base. She just did that in parrot fashion. And she used to take the mickey out of my youngest daughter and upset her greatly with that. And I say, well, she's just like she's thick. She's got no concept of, she shouldn't be a teacher really, but she spent her whole life doing it, you know. And, yeah, 1, 3 is 3, 2, 3 is out, 6, 3 plays out, you know, it was absolute rubbish, you know. But I mean, in the old days, like my mother, I always remember, £100 ain't for it. No, I mean, she didn't realise that. She was just sitting by her own, wasn't she, actually, but, yeah, she used to do quick adding up with the money. And she knew things like £100 straight and forward. She had certain little rules that she knew, and then she could calculate from that very, very quickly in her head and do things. But, yeah. I always remember, you know, a girl I hooked up with when I was at Marconi Space and Defence, and she had an MSc in maths. And I was asking her, you know, I was using Bessel functions and fast Fourier transforms and things of this nature, you know. I was designing jamming equipment, I mean, nice race cosine ons and offs, and you know, and what FM and minimum bandwidth and all this sort of stuff. And I was asking about all these things, and she was sorting it out for me, the sums. And she said, you know, she says, I never realised that you could actually use these things like Bessel functions and Fourier analysis. She said, I never realised you could actually use them to actually do something. It was just a pure academic exercise to her. And she had an MSc in it, Richard. G3TFX, G3TPW.
From Golf 3 Tango Foxtrot X-ray. Yeah, it's so interesting the way things go, isn't it? When I used to work at Philips, because I was using inductors and capacitors so very often, I could more or less sort of work out in my head what 100 microhenry and a 10 puff capacitor would resonate at, sort of without even having to consult a chart. It kind of came automatically because you use these things all the time. It's like looking at color codes on resistors. Somebody would start with saying yellow is 4 and mauve is 7 and this, that and the other, and what's the multiplier, orange on the end, and they sort of take a couple of minutes to work it out. In the end, you just kind of glance at these things and think, right, that's a 270k resistor, and you don't even sort of think about what the actual colours represent. You just kind of memorise things by blocks. But yeah, you've got to get back to basic concepts occasionally and do some hard work, and it's just various ways of doing it. Of course, the other thing is you see resistors and inductors and capacitors. Do you remember those crisscross charts we used to have, and you could sort of go, sort of whiz your finger up one side and down on the other side, and horizontal and vertical axis, and you get the answer by looking at a chart. Far easier than doing the maths in your head. Anyway, over to you, Steve. G3TPW, G3TFX.
Yeah, Roger. From G3TPW, yeah? Yeah, okay. Well, it's the same as reading, isn't it? You know, they talk about the Chinese alphabet having all these different hundreds of characters and how silly it is. Well, it's not. Because when you think of it, when you read, you're not looking at each word and going through it phonetically, are you? You only do that if it's a new word that you've not heard before. But then you recognise, you know, say Manchester. You don't go Manchester. You know, you see the whole pattern. So just like you see a Chinese symbol. So in actual fact, that's the way we read, isn't it? We don't read figuring it out. We do it like you did me. We go there, we recognise all the thousands of words that there are that we use. We recognise them. And it's only if we come to one that we don't recognise that we have to look at the individual bits and see how it must be pronounced. And I'll often get it wrong, you know. I always use, I still call things
Fresnel zones. Fresnel zones instead of Fresnel, because I read it, you know, and it was Fresnel. And not being a French person, I didn't know it was Fresnel. So I still think it does the Fresnel zones when I work things out. Oh dear. So that's another thing. When you learn yourself without hearing it from somebody else, you can get the pronunciation. Design all sorts of things, and but he always says ohms, not ohms, because when he first learned it, he'd read it and not taught it at school or anything, so he got that word ohms, and that's the way it always is to him. It's very hard to unlearn something. Yeah. So that's it. Reading things. It's just like doing things like by rote, isn't it? You know, you do recognise the complete pattern in the end, whether you like it or not. But yes, winding inductors and things, you know, I used to get a bit worried at times. I always used to use a Boonton Q meter. I love my little Boonton Q meter. And, you know, it's got this little capacitor on there. And I used to say, right, I want a 22 nanohenry coil. And I just wind something. And then, you know, the idea was to see what it is. Just always solder it across on the terminals, you know. See what it is and then adjust it accordingly. But you know, after a bit, it used to really scare me. I think, right, I want 22 nanohenries. I'd used some bit of wire. I've not used that gauge before. I'd wind it around a pencil or something. I've not used that diameter before. And it was spot on. I didn't have to adjust it. It was scary. It was almost like a psychic phenomenon, you know. So all I could think of was my brain had done it so many times that I was subconsciously scaling everything to end up with the right value of inductance that I wanted. But it really was quite scary, you know. As I say, almost like a psychic phenomenon. G3TFX, G3TPW.
From G3TFX? Yeah, it's amazing. 20 years has gone by since I left Philips, 21 actually, and I haven't touched a solder line since, to speak of, would you believe? But, you know, to get back into development engineering, I think I'd have a struggle now, partly because the technology's moved on, but it's amazing. Most of the stuff I actually designed for professional equipment didn't involve a lot of math. It did involve a lot of brains in knowing how to lay out something without it all taking off, squeezing a quarter into a pint pot, making it red hot and work. Not only work for one piece of equipment, but for hundreds of thousands. And that was the secret of success as far as I'm concerned. Did enjoy those days, but they've all gone now. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah, Roger. I just interrupted there. Yeah, from G3TPW. Yes, it's. Oh dear, you said something there. I was going to comment on, and I didn't write it down. Of course, I've just forgotten what it was now. But. It's oh yeah, I know it was, yes, it's like when I'm doing antenna design, I could use calculus to you know, I couldn't actually, because I spent 4 years doing calculus, and you know, I always remember saying to the tutor, I don't really understand. I know how to do this, I know how to pass the exam and all that, but I don't really. I mean, I understand the concept of it, the area underneath a graph, a line. I know what differentiation and integration actually is, but when we're doing all these mathematical things with all the symbols, I know how to do it. I'm not really happy about what I'm actually doing. And I remember he said to me, no, he says, well, I've been doing it a lot longer than you, and I'm not neither. But just just do it parrot fashion and pass the exam. That was the lecturer. Oh dear. I mean, but no, I've never used calculus at all since. If I want to do anything, I'll count the number of squares, because calculus is for proofs, not for practical engineering things. It's for an exact proof. Now, as far as practical things are concerned, drawing a line on the graph of a current formation, say, and then counting the number of squares on the graph underneath, and if it's more than half, it's 1, and if it's less than half, it's 0. That's far more accurate than anything you'll ever need for, designing an aerial, And even if I did it with calculus, I'd have to do it on the graphs square, just to make sure it was right, just to check it, Richard, because when it's such a detached thing as mathematics, you can't see instantly whether it's right or not. Go ahead.
Oh, don't talk to me about calculus. I remember the days when I was doing my first year in Albany National Certificate, and I got a fancy book. I think it was a 3-year course in the old days. I think they shortened it to 2 years, didn't they? But anyway, I started doing calculus. I got quite good at it, but lo and behold, my apprenticeship got disrupted, and I never got much further than that. But having said that, I just quickly lost it with the calculus stuff. Never found the need for it in real life. Anyway, change the subject. I'm going to move on a bit, but while we're having a natter, perhaps somebody else has picked this up. So let's take a pause. Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey. This is Golf 3 Tango Papa Product 3 in Cambridge. Anybody else receive us?
Nothing out here.
No. No, sometimes that north-south path gets okay. I had some GMs on the air just before I started talking to you.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Andy, wasn't I, with his 5 watts, so you don't hear anything now then?
Well, I've got the disadvantage of not hearing anything below about S8 or 9.
Right, well, my noise is S3 at the moment, but no, I don't hear anything at all from G3TPW. Go ahead.
Okay. Right, I think I'll wander off now. What's the time? Getting on for 2 o'clock, isn't it? So, I'll wish you 73, Steve, and just have a quick swish around the band and then go downstairs and get on with a few other things.
Yeah, Roger, yes, I need to get some lunch now. And, some sun's gone in now. It's been brilliantly sunny this morning here. And I didn't, it was 18 point, in the shack here, 18.8, I think, when I came in the shack this morning. The shack does face east. And I drew the curtains at about 9 o'clock. Yeah, maybe about 9 o'clock when I drew the curtains. And let the ducks out. And I came in the shack about 10 o'clock and it was up to, say, 18 point odd. And we're not had the central heating on. Didn't have it on yesterday, no central heating. The sun's warming the house up and, coal fire. I'm going to have the coal fire in the middle of the house, in the lounge, And we'll leave the lounge door open, so that keeps the core temperature of the whole house up, But, so I think my bedrooms are about 6 in Fahrenheit, 62, which will be about, 16 centigrade. So just keep, we've not had anything. And I come in the shack here and not put I've got a convector heater here, 4 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt for thermostat, but I did actually switch that on its minimum setting on 1 kilowatt minimum setting. It's not on. It didn't come on, and it's 21.5 now. 21.5 in the shack, and it's warmed up by my 100 watts of body and the rig as well, the power supply. Actually, I'm telling you, the power supply is on all the time. The power supply is on continuously. It's what I've always done, It's underneath the bench. Underneath the disturbance because it's got a fan in it. It's noisy. And it just charges the backpack portable system on continuous trickle charge from 13.8 volts via a resistor to limit it. So it only gets up to about 75% of the full charge, the battery in that. And it's years and years old now. It just keeps going, you know, on lead acid. Gel cell, you know. And then battery in the A17 charged up as well. While it's there, so everything keeps fully charged. And I leave the beam rotator on as well. I leave that on all the time, so there might be some current going through the little system and winding up there. Through the pot, that's it, through the pot. Keep the pot nice and dry. Dear. Yeah, so there's a bit of, I suppose there is a bit of electrical power in the shack. Okay, all the best, Richard. G3TFX, G3TPW.
From Golf 3 Tango Foxtrot X-Ray. Have you got a nickname, Steve?
I don't know. I don't think so. Why, go ahead.
Oh, right. I just thought perhaps you could adopt the nickname Cobb. Cobweb.
Oh, right, yeah. Right. I was going to call me Mr. Cobb for some reason. Oh, dear. In the QST magazine, there was some blurb about it, but yeah, so I was known as Mr. Cobb for some reason. Anyway, yeah. No, the only nickname I ever had at school, actually, well, apart from wedding, it was Prof. They used to call me Prof. Very good.
Prof? P-R-O-S?
Yeah, Roger.
Oh, right. Well, they used to nickname me Fuzzy because they could never pronounce my surname. You know, it varied from Fusniak to Fushniak to Fuzniak and a few rude ones as well, so they nicknamed me Fuzzy.
Well, I always call you Fuzniak, is that not right?
Yeah, well, that's good enough, I suppose. My dad's got a list with 250 different variations of his surname.
How do you say it then?
I've forgotten now. Fuzzy will do. Even one of my emails is fuzzyuk@ntlworld.com.
Well, it's funny that, because there's a friend of mine, Mike McTighe, but it's spelled McTeague, it looks like. M-C-T-I-G-U-E, McTeague. But he always says McTighe. And he was a professional rugby player. The TV commentators always used to call him McTighe, you see. They always called him McTighe, and he pronounced it McTeague. So the TV commentators always called him McTighe, so he decided to give in. So he just called himself Mike McTighe. Go ahead.
Oh, right. How do you spell McTighe then? M-A-C-T-I?
Yes, M-C, for Mike, and then T-I-G-U-E, Tango Italy Golf Uniform Echo, but people seem to pronounce it McTighe, and he gave up on it. I suppose that's probably how it originally was, you know. Things get changed over the years, don't they, down the generations. But he just gave up, so he was just Mike McTighe. He was quite an interesting guy. He was a professional rugby player. And he was still doing a bit of coaching when he was at Marconi at British Aerospace, but he was an engineer. And interesting sort of thing, you know, a rugby player. And then he lived in the sort of Wigan area around there, and he worked designing fuses for atomic bombs, you know. He doesn't seem quite in the same sort of type of person, a rugby player who designs the fuses for atomic bombs. Go ahead.
6-inch nails. So, how would you pronounce McHine? M-A-C-H-I-N-E?
Yeah, McHine, presumably, but I don't know. Machine, did you say something like that? Go ahead.
Machine.
Right, machine, yeah, of course it is, yeah. Oh dear, yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Now, which is it correct to say? The yolk of an egg is white? I'll say that. The yolk of an egg is white, or the yolk of an egg are white?
Well, depends what you're talking about. Is yolk the word? Is yolk, does yolk be the plural as well, so it can be both? I don't know. Yeah. The yolk of the egg is
white or are white?
Yellow. It's not white, none of them are white. You were trying to catch me out, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right, it's yellow. I'm off. I'll see you later, Steve. Nice talking to you again. Signals come up now, by the way, from Golf 3 Tango Foxtrot X-ray in Cambridge.
Yeah, Roger, yeah. I can tell you some funny stories on questions like that. One of them actually was from Mike McTighe. One of the little things that he used to say, which was quite intriguing. I'll tell you the question, you can think about it and let me know next time. You're in a rowing boat, you're in a pond, and you've got a load of bricks, a load of house bricks in the rowing boat with you, and you tip them over the side into the pond. What happens to the water level in the pond? So it's nothing tricky on that. It's just pure physics, pure mechanical things, and a proper understanding of science rather than a superficial understanding of science. So let's say what happens to the water level when you empty the bricks out of the rowing boat into the pond from G3TPW.
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it? Of course, the water level stays the same, doesn't it? Because while they're in the canoe, you're pushing the water down even further than if you didn't have the bricks. As soon as you tip the bricks overboard, your boat floats up, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's wrong, that. It's wrong. When you put the bricks into the pond, the water level actually goes down. Now, you think about it and figure out why. That's the instant answer, what you just said. But in actual fact, that's wrong. The water level definitely goes down when you put the bricks into the water. So you think about it and let me know next time from G3TPW.
Oh dear, you got me fox there. All right, I'll have a think about that one. From G3TFX 73, Steve.
Yeah, cheers, all the best.